Hello and welcome to Happily Ever After. It's me, Hannah, and today I am coming live from a very warm north of England, which is exciting because it hasn't been warm here for about a year. And I also am coming to you live from the day that my ex-husband is getting married. So today I wanted to talk about when your ex moves on, my experience of this, and what worked at making me feel better, and crucially, what didn't work. So, yes, for context, my ex husband is getting married today. Um, yeah, the story around him getting with this person is we had been split up for about 3 months. There'd been a lot of talk about whether or not we would get back together. I was very firmly, and those of you who've read my book will know this, I was very firmly in the place that I needed him to stop drinking and stop doing the other things he'd been doing. And everything I'd read about kind of addiction and I'm not saying he was addicted, but there was definitely issues. And my feeling was they were so negative and having such a negative impact on our relationship. I couldn't do it anymore. And I tried everything possible to encourage him to stop. And there have been times that it worked and times that it hadn't, and generally it was a bit of a roller coaster. So if you want the full, the full jam of what happened, especially useful, I guess, if you are in this position and you know what I'm talking about. It might not be drink, it might not be drugs for you, it might be something else that's having a negative impact on your relationship. I'd highly recommend you read my book, How to Divorce Sober. And yeah, so I'd got to the point where I was like, I don't know what else to do because we're just going round in a circle and it's finishing me off. And I can't keep doing it because my nervous system is fried. I'm having panic attacks. And I was dealing with my own alcohol issues on top of this and my own sense of who I was and what I needed in life to feel content. I was completely disassociated with the things that were important to me other than keeping myself alive and my children. So when I left, I was like, this, he has to do this because he wants to. It can't be because I'm telling him to. It can't be for the reason that if he does this, it means he gets me back because I'll never feel safe because he's done that before. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, I left going, if I leave and he thinks this is for good, and then he gets himself sober and he does it for himself, then we'll be in a much better place and we'll be able to start again. So that was it. I sent him away, even though I was madly in love and I didn't want this to be over. I was like, I've got to do this because it's either him or me kind of thing. And I wanted my kids to still have their mum. And it got to the point where I felt like they might lose me because I was just so lost in it all. Yeah, so he done the right steps, but it had been only 3 months, and he came to me and said, "I'm doing all the right things. Can we get back together again now?" And I said no, because I still didn't feel safe. I didn't trust my own judgment. I didn't trust him. I needed more time. I needed to feel like there was more evidence other than just the bare minimum to say that everything's okay now and everything's changed. So I said no, I wanted a divorce. And then 2 weeks later, he came to see me and said he'd met someone, and it was so such an important relationship to him that he felt I needed to know now, like things were moving quickly. I'm like, feels ever so familiar. Like I can look back and say that now. In the moment, fucking furious. I was devastated. It was all of the things I had been afraid of when we were in our relationship that made me not want to leave. So, in those moments of panic, when I was like, I am stuck in this situation because if I leave, I will be left with nothing. He will replace me immediately with somebody else, and my kids will get a new mum, basically. That's how I felt. So, obviously, I'm still recovering myself from everything that's gone on. And it's super early days, and my plan had not fucking worked. Yeah, so I spiraled pretty bad. I went into a pretty deep place quite quickly of I am useless, I'm unlovable, I'm vacant, not enough. All the stuff I talk about in my book was like the triggers that started my issues with drinking in the first place. I felt like I was a terrible mum because I was so broken, I couldn't enjoy anything. Yeah, I spiraled. I used things, I wasn't drinking, so I had at least that one thread of feeling like I had an achievement. But, addiction replacement is a real goddamn thing. And I was doing it. I was either starving myself because I was like, I have to look good enough because clearly, as a human being on the inside, I'm not worthy of love and I'm replaceable. So I would either not eat or binge eat. And it was this constant cycle of like the famine and the feast, the roller coaster, all the stuff I'd had in my relationship. Ironically, I was then replacing and doing it to myself. Losing whole days just lying on the sofa, eating crap, watching telly, and then the next week being like hyper focused on getting shit done. I'm going to prove to the world that I am smart enough, that I'm enough, that I'm not vacant, and then burning out by the end of the week and starting the whole thing again. So, to add on to this, I then started to lean on Tinder. I'm like, I need a man to tell me that I am good enough because right now I feel like shit. I don't feel safe. And I need somebody who's an authority over me, lol, to tell me that I'm pretty and I'm smart. So pretty quickly got into another fairly long-term relationship with the first person I met on Tinder. Nice enough guy, but the problem with this solution is it's literally a sticking plaster. It's just looking for another external thing to make me feel good in the moment. And I wasn't healed. So I was now bringing a new person into a situation where I was broken, looking to them to see if they can fix me. They cannot. And I'll tell you why this was not a good strategy because I also had a whole bunch of really positive tools in my toolkit that were coming to me from loads of different sources. Now, the first one was that I was manifesting on a daily basis. So even amidst all of the chaos and my negative self-sabotaging behavior, I was still getting in a place every morning, which was positive. I was still focusing my conscious and subconscious thought patterns around the things I do actually want in my life. And so these things were coming into my life without me even really having to do very much. So it's like, it's all the tools that I talk about in my book, but it's the things like the talking therapies, they really helped as a sounding board. Because basically they've heard it all. So I was able to go into my therapy sessions and be like, these are all the things that happened. knowing that they will have heard the same, worse, not as bad, like all the spectrum of the world. I felt like I could no longer live in a place of fear and live in a place where secrets ruled my life, because that had got me absolutely nowhere. It had left me feeling full of shame and made my marriage explode or implode or whatever the word is. So I knew from then on I had to speak the truth, because the truth sets you free. It also really helped to sound some of this stuff off with them first, because then I was able to get a feel for how my friends and family might react. Because it was really important that I started being radically honest with everybody. So being able to go to my parents and be very honest about the alcohol, the drugs, and all the other things. Oh my God, I could honestly cry. The liberation you feel when you're able to tell the people you love about the things you fear the most, and for them not to reject you, is really powerful. It's so healing to know, like, it does, you might not have a great relationship with your family, but I bet you've got family who are not related to you, who love you. And to be able to speak to them and tell them what you're feeling, what you're fearing, all of your worst stuff will set you free, genuinely. And these people may not stay in your life forever, but in that season of your life when you need to be held and feel safe, it's going to be a big one. So, and I had that, and I believe that all of this stuff came because I was doing this active 10 minutes in the morning going, this is what I really want. This is, but not what I want, saying it as if it's happened. So happy and grateful my kids are safe. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm surrounded by people who love me and support me. That was like a fucking mantra for me. I'm like, please let there be these people in my life, because I am losing it. Okay. The other thing I did was yoga. I didn't really, to be honest, I probably went into it going, I need to be fit and strong. I need to be fit and strong so that I prove to be good enough for the next person that I'm with. I need to look good. And it turns out it's been, yeah, the biggest lifeline, really. I think if I went in it going that yoga's going to save my life, I would have been like, yeah, not today, thanks. I'm too busy downward spiraling, thank you. So going in being like, right, I'm going to go in and be strong and skinny. That was the main goal. That was fine. Turns out did save my life, but don't let it put you off. Because the big thing about forest yoga, the type of yoga I've been doing, is you start every class with an intention. So I learned that just from the intention of breathing into your shoulders, I learned that I store in my shoulders all of my negative self-belief. So I always have this knot down the side of my neck. It may always be there, but I'm working on it and I know it's there. And I know that what lives in this bit of my neck is a belief that I'm not good enough, I'm vacant, I'm a piece of shit, etc. All the nasty things that your brain says to you. Mine lives here in my shoulder. So I learned that through yoga. I also learned that my fear lives in the front of my left hip. And I learned through breathing into my hips during one of the intentions that not fear, my stories. So all of these old stories that I've forgotten about, they live in my hips, in my pelvis, this kind of space. I'd never have known that unless I did yoga. And the more that I have done this stuff, the more that I've learned that our bodies store so much information. It's like just isn't available to our conscious mind. So we may learn something on a conscious level, but until our bodies feel safe, and understand the same information, we are going to continue to be triggered. So that's not great, really. And yeah, basically, until we lean into slowing down, listening to our bodies, we're kind of, it's like the self-sabotage will continue on because our bodies want to keep us safe. And what feels safe to our bodies is what is familiar. And what is familiar isn't necessarily what we want. So we don't want to keep, repeating the old patterns, repeating the old behaviors. So in order to move on, to get to the things that we actually want, it requires us to do quite a lot of work with our bodies. And so in every class that I was taking and continue to take, and even the ones I teach, I'm teaching my body like new ways of understanding and feeling the intentions and the ideals that I want. So in my class tomorrow, it's a free class to kind of share what Venus Yoga is all about and giving people an opportunity to try it out. The class, sorry, it's tonight, is the theme, the intention is freedom. And this is for me as much as everyone else. My ex-husband's getting married. It's like, yeah, I know on a logical level that this is a good thing. Like, please go and be happy and fall in love with this other person. That's marvelous. I want you to be together forever and have a really steady, stable relationship so my kids are happy. On a physical level, there's still shit going on. So I still need to embody this feeling of what is freedom to me now that he is gone. He is fully out. This is closure. We will embody that feeling. Whatever it is you've got going on, maybe you've got somebody you need to cut out your life. Maybe you've got old habits that you want to stop doing. Maybe you want to feel free from illness, or could be so many different things. And through the practice of this yoga, we're going to teach the body how to do it in a safe way, how to feel free and actually enjoy it. Because some of us really like actually feeling enclosed and constricted. I know I do. Like, there's kinks are there for a reason. Like, some people really like feeling tied up, right? And so maybe there's an alternative version of you that likes not being free. So how can we help the body feel safe and free? We do it by embodying it in yoga. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. And then the other thing about every time I did a yoga class is that I was learning something new about myself. Like, oh, what is held in my left butt cheek? Or how do I feel when I breathe in a certain way? What emotions come up if I breathe love and kindness into my body? Weird shit happens. So, yeah, what I also found is that I learned how to love what was coming up. So when all this weird stuff was coming up that I didn't even know was there, I was able to kind of look at it like I'm looking at it from the outside, you know? So, like, it's as if a friend was coming to me and saying this stuff, and I was able to greet whatever it was with compassion and be like, it's okay, you're all right. It's going to be okay. And be kind of curious with it rather than judging what came up or feeling contempt for who I was or for whatever the feelings were that were coming up. Like, that's a gift to be able to look at our triggers without going into them and feeling them. And obviously, sometimes these triggers will come up, and I spent a lot of time crying on the yoga mat. Not everybody does, but that was the way that I processed stuff, was through letting it out. Just let it out. So yeah, I had all these tools that I was leaning on unintentionally that it meant I was starting to heal. And it became very obvious as I was starting to heal that in my new relationship, my new Tinder thing, I was repeating old patterns and I was repeating old behaviors. And I was also accepting old patterns and behaviors in this new relationship. It was like history repeating itself because I'd let a trigger start a new relationship, which was the same, not as bad as the old one for sure, but it wasn't at all aligned with how I felt about myself now and how I was learning to feel about myself. Like I had no boundaries in place to protect myself, my values, the things I wanted from the relationship, how I wanted to be treated. And like I say, it wasn't as bad as it was before. It still wasn't really honoring what I wanted or what I actually deserved from a relationship. And then I got to kind of practice something I really hated. You have to look at these things as like a gift from the universe. Otherwise, we never learn, do we? So for me, I really dislike confrontation, and I really just hate having to advocate for myself. So kind of saying I don't like this behavior or I don't want this anymore was my worst nightmare. And I got to practice it by saying I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. And, did it and then came, got back to the place where I was single again. And that's when all the odd feelings come up again. I'm not happy being a single person because I don't feel like I'm enough. So I hadn't quite healed enough in order to feel comfortable being single, which meant I then repeated this pattern for a few more years until I finally stopped doing it. It's the same as drinking, really, but I was doing it with men that weren't necessarily right for me. So that's when I had to quit dating. And there's an episode on the podcast, can't quite remember the number, where I share my dating ban, where I'm like, that's it. I've got to stop doing this because I'm going round and round in circles. And I needed that space to finally heal, to finally, room to breathe, room to really look at what it was I wanted. Room to love myself and room to dream again that actually there was somebody out there for me who was exactly what I wanted and what I needed and what would make me feel good and happy and content and held and safe and excited, like all of those things. I'd got myself to a place where I'm like, they just don't exist. And I'm here to tell you that is fucking bullshit. There is the right person out there for each of us. I 100% believe it. But our job is to learn how to be the version of ourselves that can meet that person. So, yeah, then I met the man of my dreams. And I've been with him for 18 months now, and I love him to the moon and back, in times infinity, all of that stuff. However, that doesn't mean that my ex getting married isn't a bit of a weird feeling. It's a bit jarring. Like, on a mental level, like I've told you, yes, go and get married. But on a physical level, there's still a bit of me that's like, huh? And this is not something conscious. I found this out yesterday. A friend of mine was practicing doing somatic healing. I put my hand up and said, yes, please, I'll have some. And then at the very end, I got this whoosh of like, I am really pissed off about this situation that I didn't know I had. It came up, it left, and then I got this deep sense of peace that felt really connected to my mum and just feeling held in that motherly space, which was so beautiful. Yeah. And I think unless I'd used these tools that I'm talking about and got to a space where I could feel this stuff without necessarily spiraling and doing all the negative stuff I've talked about, yeah, I would have struggled, I think, at the moment. But yeah, all sorts of stuff is going on at the moment with my ex that in the olden times I would have felt super triggered by. But, you know, I've just learned to do it in a compassionate way, I guess. So as feelings come up, kind of going, oh, that's interesting. Like, what's the word? Like, disconnecting from feelings, meaning this is who I am, I guess, because a lot of the things that we feel will have come, some of it will have been inherited even like through our ancestral line. Like we can't take full responsibility for everything we feel. Some of it comes from trauma. I had a shitload of that. So I can get triggered by very weird things that wouldn't necessarily trigger you and vice versa. So we have to like look at these things with real compassion. And then, yeah, the other side of it all is giving myself space to feel that and not judge it, but then also not put too much pressure to prove to him, the world, or whatever else that I'm not vacant. And, it's all a work in progress. And things are going to come up every day. Even when you've got the tools, it doesn't mean that, oh, I'm never going to feel anything anymore. That's absolute bullshit because we're literally here to feel stuff. Like I want to feel all of the things and not be afraid to feel them because in the past I didn't feel anything. And that's a much worse place to be, much, much worse. All I wanted to do was numb. So, an interesting thing I'll share with you is that what I've learned over the years is that I was always looking to feel safe. So I was doing all the things, like reaching for all these things externally to make me feel better, to make me feel safe. And what I learned this week is that it was in me all along. So I did a little exercise this week with some of my clients, some of my one-to-one clients and my yoga students. And I basically wanted to get a feel for what it is that they feel like they get from me, like what is my value? And the number one thing that came back is that I help people feel safe. I help people feel safe. I help them feel seen, understood, like they can do things, and I help them feel safe. And I'm like, how ironic is that? That all of the times that I wanted to, I wanted to feel safe and seen and understood, and like I can get shit done. And I've already got it inside me. That's just wild to me that instead of pouring all of my energy and attention into seeking external validation and, drinking or trying to numb, like I've learned now over this horrible process that I've been through that actually I can do it for myself because I do it for other people. And I know the chances are that the thing that you most want to feel in the world is the thing that you help other people feel when you're around them. I bet you. So if at the moment you're feeling like, I want to feel XYZ, I bet you that's the gift that you already have, which is fucking exciting. So, yeah, I feel like that has got to be a clue as to what our value is in the world. So instead of being like, I wish I felt safe, if I could go, oh my God, I help people feel safe. I can do that for myself. I don't know. I don't know how necessarily you do that when you're in it, but I do know that there are amazing tools to help you get to that place where you're like, not a waste of space after all. I bring value and I can support myself. I can be an amazing mum. I can look after my finances. I can find the love of my life, and I don't need to find them right now, because right now I'm concentrating on feeling the thing that I want to feel, and I'm going to get there. Yeah, it feels like that when you're not being true to yourself and when you're not caring for yourself or honoring your own needs, that's when we try and look for that thing that actually we already have. So, something to think about. Let me know if that resonates. I'd love to hear. But yeah, it's definitely a journey. I have learned everything you can the hard way. But you know, that the good news is that, you know, the amount of money I've spent, all the other stuff, you don't need to, because I now teach it. I share this stuff. So if you would like to work one-to-one with me, just get in touch. You can message me on Instagram at Hannah Harvey UK, or drop me an email, and it's all in the show notes. So just head there. And I've got various different packages to support you with that. We can start with just a chat about what's going on right now and work it out from there. And that chat is free, of course. Come and like just have a coffee and we'll work out via Zoom, obviously, if you're not nearby. Yeah, we'll work out what you need. And then if you are looking for just dipping your toe into this whole idea of what yoga could do for you, we'll start off with sexy body, if that helps. Then come to the free yoga tonight. I'm also sending out replays. So if you have got this after tonight, you can still sign up and I'll send you the replay. So that is in the show notes. And then the other thing I've got for specifically for divorcing mums right now is a free mini course that will support you. It's like a 7-day bite-size activity to do, and it will take you from feeling like shit to feeling much calmer, and hopefully connecting in with that thing that you do for other people that you can do for yourself. That'll be really beautiful. So again, head to the show notes for that. Oh yeah, and then the other exciting thing I've got starting soon is called Magic Divorce Club. And this is where I'm going to share much more about this side of divorce, which was literally just the magic. So all of the alchemy around the thought process, the body work, the calling in of the things that you need, getting yourself into the right mindset so that you can have the best divorce and the best outcome of your divorce that you possibly can. Because, oh my God, there's just so many reasons why women need support going through divorce. And I will be covering them all over the next few weeks as we start to launch like this club that I hope you will come and join if that's where you are at, or share it with any of your pals that are sadly going through this shitty time, which is also potentially the best thing that could ever happen to you in my experience. Okay, so yeah, that's how it felt to have my ex move on. But yeah, it's like also such a wonderful gift to get to a place where it doesn't fucking matter anymore. And you just wish them the best. So I pray that you will get there, because obviously, as I explained, I was not there for quite some time. But keep the faith. You will get to a place where you're like, thank God for that. What a gift. Okay, loads of love.